Hi,
Hi, good morning.
good morning. How are you doing today?
It's been a day, Marion. It's been cuckoo this morning.
Already, I get it.
Already.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Marion from Attire and Beyond, and today I am thrilled to be speaking with Lori. It's Tata, right? Not Tata?
Well,
Okay,
it is Italian. It's supposed to be Tata, but we haven't Americanized it to Tata. So
gotcha.
I answer to all of it.
Okay, so I heard you once while you were doing a video, and I'm like, oh, it's not Tata because I'm Italian. So I was Licciello. Now I'm Goldberg.
Oh my gosh, that's quite a transition. I
It
was
is.
Salvi. I was
So
Salvi. Yeah, no, we went to a restaurant to an Italian restaurant in the North End in Boston, and we said Tata, and then we spelt our name, and the guy was, obviously actually Italian. He's like, Tata?
Tata.
He was like mad at me. He was mad at me for butchering my name. So
Well, funny. My grandfather, our name was Lichello, but my mother changed it to Licciello. So my
that,
grandfather
that
wasn't happy.
CC ended up with the ch sound a lot,
Yep, yep.
like chickpea, and there's a lot of them.
All right, guys. So Lori is a fashion reseller and so many other things that she will tell us about how she progressed from starting as a reseller and now she's doing so many wonderful things and helps so many people. I know that she helped me through my journey and I thank you. And I just, if you're watching this and you're from any of Lori's channels, hi, welcome. Anyone new, welcome. And if you're just coming back, thank you so much. And I'm going to ask Lori some questions to hopefully help you with some of the questions you ask me and are just curious about. So,
Sounds
Lori,
good.
I want to start with how did you get started in this? What started this?
Sparked all this. I feel like there have been 2 points in my career where like I started and stopped and then I came
Okay.
back to it. So I think like many people, I've been a lifelong thrifter. As a young girl, my mom used to take me to yard sales. That was like a big activity for us on Saturdays. We didn't grow up with a lot of money, and we were just super resourceful. And my mom was very crafty, very creative. There was nothing she couldn't do or fix. So we would go to yard sales and flea markets. And I think that's where it all started. So I was always very comfortable in thrift stores. And I think I always kind of had like a little bit of an eye for things, and I love to shop. So all those things together, I started officially doing this in 2018, and I have to apologize for my dogs in the background. I am hiding in my basement. My husband's doing phone calls. He has 10 interviews with college students right now, so he's locked in his room. And this week, we started painting our house. So the paint is outside. We have a guest who's here. My friend's friend from college is here. His whole family has COVID, so he's staying with us. So my house is insane right now. So I'm so sorry about the dogs.
Don't we get it? And I have a dog. I was actually going to bring her here today, and I said no. Let me not do that because I'm in the store.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. If it weren't for the painters, I would shut the door and all
I
that
don't even
stuff.
hear them, so
Okay,
they're
good,
worse to
good,
you. Yeah.
good. All right. I'm going to try to block them out. So I was working at American Girl at the doll store I started in fall of 2008. So have been a stay-at-home mom. My oldest was born in 99. He's going to be 22 in a month.
Wow.
I cannot believe it. I have 3 children. I was a teacher prior to reselling. So I got my master's in special education out in California, but I went undergrad out here and thought I was always going to be a teacher. It was something that was a real natural fit for me. And I taught for 4 years, 2 years in Connecticut, moved to California, 2 years out in San Francisco, got pregnant with Anthony, and then we moved home. So we moved back across the country. And at that point, I just wanted to stay home with my baby. Like that's what I always wanted to do. I have a very hardworking mom. She was always on the 9 to 5 grind, and I just wanted to be able to stay home. So that started my journey as a stay-at-home mom. I sold creative memories, scrapbooks. For many years, loved scrapbooking. So kind of crafty, kind of like mini bulletin boards, like pages. And then that was it. I started working at American Girl. So I was at American Girl for almost 8 years. And it just got to a point where I was like, where am I going with this? My daughter had grown out of it. And so then I had been doing a little bit of reselling on the side. Like I wasn't afraid of Craigslist. We listed our playground in the backyard.
Okay.
My husband's like, we're selling the house, leave it here. I said, hell no, we're going to sell it. It was really good value. Like we just spent a lot of money on that and some guy
Right.
came and bought it. So I was always kind of wheeling and dealing, loved sales, was in sales at American Girl. So when things got to be a little much at American Girl, I took a step back and I said, I'm going to try reselling without really
Okay.
a title. Really, I had
Okay.
never looked at one YouTube video, never knew there was this whole subculture, no idea. Did eBay for a couple years on and off
Okay.
before, after I left American Girl. I remember my biggest week on eBay was I sold 18 items and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
wow, this is it. I have arrived. And I was very excited about it, but I didn't have much direction because I didn't have any mentors. I was just kind of winging it. Didn't know how to,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew how to look up sold comps. I mean, I would search that way.
Okay.
Went back to American Girl as a personal shopper. My old
Okay.
boss reached out to me. She wanted me to be a personal shopper there. So I started out as a personal shopping assistant and then I was a shopper. Went back. Sorry. Is this way too long?
No,
My history. I'm sorry.
no, people want to hear, and I get all these questions, and even now that I'm doing these shows, I'm getting the be more in depth. So I started with like 30 minutes and now I go up to an hour because tell us whatever you think.
You're really getting the big picture here. So in the midst of all this, like somewhere with, I always tell this part of the story because it was really a pivotal moment for me and maybe it shouldn't have been, but I think a lot of stay-at-home moms might relate to this. And that is, I was a dance mom. While I was working at American Girl on and off, my daughter was a competitive dancer. She danced for 14 years.
Wow.
And towards the end, I started working for the studio owner. I had actually wanted to go into business with her and do consignment for old costumes because all these girls were doing solos and duos and, you know, costumes were like $100 a piece. They would be in 11 numbers. Plus you'd have to pay competition fees.
Wow.
Like it was through the roof. So
Yeah.
when she got to a certain level, my husband's like, listen, we have to cool it on the private lessons or you need to get a job because it's just too much money. It's not fair. We have 3 children, 1 daughter in the middle. So I said, okay. So I started working at the studio, blah, blah, blah. And then I was so invested with the dance world. Some of my closest friends in the world, in the world, still my friends from my, what I call my dance family. We lived there. We danced like 6 days a week. She was getting, you know, she's doing great. We would travel to New Jersey, to Wildwood, New Jersey for a big national competition every year. It was like our big family vacation. Like our whole family kind of rallied around my daughter's dance life. And then it got to a point where she didn't want to do it anymore. And I think it kind of meant more to her, more to me than it meant to her. Like competitions were getting to her, the pressure. She got to high school and there was no affiliation with the high school, her dance studio. So she just wanted to be a high school student. She wanted to do a high school sport. She wanted to go to football games on Friday nights. And if anybody has a dancer for a daughter, they sacrifice a lot. I'm actually sitting in the room that we had converted to be her dance studio. There's a mirror.
Wow.
There's a mirror to my right. There's still a ballet bar that's up. We took this room and we made it a dance studio for my daughter. We had like a hanging, and it's small. Like she couldn't really dance.
Still, wow.
So she decided to quit. And my whole world turned upside down. Like, I'm not kidding. My friends were like, Lori, what is wrong with you? Like, it's your daughter's path. It's not yours. And I'm like, but she's quitting when she's like just on the cusp of doing so much. And she had gone to New York. Like we had her, like Broadway dance studio thing in New York. And it was just like, I had so much hope for her as a dancer and she just didn't want it. And don't get me wrong, she was not like this, like, you know, Broadway dancer. But she was doing great. And I thought she'd go to college for dance. Whole world turned upside down. And I would come down to this room and cry. I would come. It was awful. It was like really sad for me. And then a girl who I work with at American Girl, her name, you guys might know her as the Bins Queen, Rafaela.
Oh, yeah.
Rafaela was my lead. So she was like an assistant
Oh.
manager at American Girl. I worked in the doll hair salon. I was all over that store at the time. Loved Rafaela, but she was super low key. I had been there
Okay.
since the start. She had been there maybe for a year or two. So I had been there. I was like an old lady there. I was like 8 years into the game. And I knew Rafaela, but more as an acquaintance. And then one day
Right.
they were sending around the card and they're like, we are sending Rafaela off. She's moving to Pittsburgh. And
Oh.
I'm like, what's she doing? She was a kid. She's like 23 years old, 22 at the time. And I'm like, where is she going? What is she doing? They're like, oh, she's a reseller. I'm like, what do you mean a reseller?
And how old were you at the time? Because I know you tell your age. So
Yeah, I was, well, at this point, I was 45 years old.
okay.
So I had quit, done eBay for 2 years. So I guess like 41 to 43-ish, came back to American Girl. And now I was
Okay.
into it another 2 years, because I think in total, off and on, it was a 10-year span.
Okay.
Rafaela gives her notice because she's going to do this thing called reselling full time. I'm like, tell me about this. I'm like, how did I know? She goes, how do you not know? Everybody follows my account. Everybody follows my Instagram. I'm like, I had no idea. It's like, there's this whole thing. And it was what I was doing, but now there was a community. That was a pivotal moment for me. So Rafaela left, we bid her farewell. And the poor girl, I say to this day, she's the reason I'm here, because I now that I'm on the other side of it, when people have questions and they ask you like 1,000 questions about a certain platform, I'm like, Rafaela, you were so patient with me. I had no idea about Poshmark. And
Right.
I mean, I had heard of it, but, and I even had an account somewhere. I must have looked something up, but I had an account since 2016, but I didn't list anything until 2018. So that was like June 2018. August, I started reselling.
Okay.
And then a year later, I went full time, and that was kind of my introduction to the community.
Okay.
And honestly, once I got a taste of it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, everything I've ever done has led me to this point. I converted this dance studio to my studio, like gave it something positive that I could like come in here, took the bars down, took the heavy bag down for the boys, and you can see what it's become. So, and it's still my studio almost 3 years later. I've grown into the other part of the basement. But that's how I got going. And I just loved it so much. I spent hours watching Street Savvy and Empty Hanger. I think they were my two. I Street Savvy for brands and just like those hour-long hauls that I couldn't get enough. And Empty Hanger was like the professional system, like I wanted to bag my shoes like she did. And I think a lot of the stuff that I learned from Jenna, I still do today. So yeah, that's how kind of it all got started. And then, so I started August of 2018, January of 2019, I shot my first video right here. And that was it. That's when I started on YouTube and went full time in 2019. And there I am. How long have we been talking? 12 minutes. Sorry.
Who cares? Good. People want to hear. Believe me, it's the same. It's the same with me. I knew nothing about Poshmark. I knew nothing really about reselling. I knew that you could do it on Craigslist and some eBay, but I had never sold on there, but our friends did. And when I decided I was going to do it, and once you decide, if you're anything like me and you and half of the resellers that I talk to, it's like full speed ahead once it hits you.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's like reselling. Like right now I'm dying because I can't thrift as much with the retail store. So
right, because you have a brick and mortar. Ooh.
Yeah, so I don't even get to thrift as much, and I miss it. So people want to hear this, and they also want to hear, I know that I have some people who follow me who are in our age group, and that's why I asked how old you were, because I'm 57 and I just started last year. You know? Yeah, I had an account, it sounds almost like you. 2017, I put about 10 things on Poshmark, and then never looked at it again for 2 years. People made offers and everything. I wasn't into it. And then videos and people like yourself and Becky Park and so many people, Jack and Ryan.
Courtney was another person I watched.
Oh yes, me too. Me too. And And I just watched so many people, but specific ones for specific things. Like I connected with you right away because even though you're 10 years younger than me, oh my goodness, someone
Right.
who I could now I love all of the other people and I get
100%.
along with them, but it's different when it's your own age, you know? So I kind of associated more and said, "Oh, I could do this," you
Yeah.
know?
And
So
and for a while, I think I never really thought about my age at first.
me neither.
I think part of my success, my modest success here, was that I didn't care.
Yeah,
Like I didn't think about all the stuff that I think about now, like how many wrinkles are on my forehead, or
right.
am I buying stuff that's like trendy
Too
or
old or
not?
yeah,
Like I guess I had blind confidence and I
me
just
too.
did it. And then as I looked around me, I'm like, you're kind of old, Lori, when it comes to these kids, you know? But I think having teenagers really helped me, you know,
Oh,
because
yes.
I would source with my daughter. Like I feel like I
And
listen.
her friend who what
Yeah. Oh, which
he
one?
helped you. It's a male
Hey,
who helped you.
hey,
Yes,
that's the one
yes.
who's staying with me right now. He goes
Okay.
to school in Brooklyn and he's home and his whole family has COVID, so he can't go
Oh,
home. So he's staying with me. So yeah, he's
okay.
actually I messaged him a video as I'm curling my hair before I come down. I'm like, I'm going live for an hour. You might be sleeping. I need you to film a video with me. And we did estate sales over the weekend. So I want him to do the haul with me. Yes, I
Cool.
absolutely love keeping young people in the fold. I love
Yeah.
the kids, and my daughter's friends and my son's friends are like, this has always been the house where they all come and crash. And so I feel blessed with the kids that are in my life. And I actually feel like it gives us an advantage too, because like when everybody talks about Y2K fashion,
Yes.
2000 to 2010, I'm like, I was like breastfeeding and didn't leave
Right.
my house. Like, I have no idea not no idea, but that
No, but
era
yeah.
of fashion. Anthony was born in 99. Rocco was born in 2004. And so I was just out of it. So
Yeah.
I feel like now the moms that might be like 28, 30 now that are home with their kids, I mean, if they're reselling, they know fashion, but I feel
Right.
like having kids who are of the age where people are kind of setting the trends has helped me,
Right, right. Well, that's like Becky Parks had started selling then baby clothes and kids clothes on Kidizen because she kind of knew, you know, they were her kids and then she started selling them. So yeah, I the only thing that I always remember is the 80s because
Of course.
my hair was up here. I I was thinking about it this morning because I rarely curl my hair and I said I'm going to
Yours
curl
is
my hair today.
beautiful. I love
So
it.
thanks. And so I remember then because it was just so out there, you know, the pants up to the waist. Now they're back. I'm like,
Which
this is
also gives
great.
an advantage for vintage
Yes.
because we lived
Yes.
it. We lived
Yes.
it.
Yeah. So it makes it, and I even have things in my closet that I kept a separate closet and I sold a leather fringe jacket. And I was like, I have this stuff
Yeah.
still.
It's great. It's
So
great.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
It makes me really, really happy if my age has anything to do with anybody starting reselling. Um,
Yes.
because in another thing, like here, let's talk about pros of being over 45 and
Okay.
people are established in their career. Like everyone's like, oh, I don't want to pick up Chico's or whatever. And I mean, it's not my favorite brand, but it sells. And I feel like
Yes.
people buying mature brands are just that. They're mature. They're well into their careers. They
Right.
have money. They're not like, I mean, because I remember how broke I was when I got my first job in San Francisco trying to pay rent there. And like we had no money. We couldn't go out. And so I don't know. I kind of like having a mature audience to buy my stuff sometimes because I mean that's a generalization, but
No, I know what you mean.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, like I also feel like I have the time now because my kids are older. My youngest is 16 and I have a lot
Okay.
more time to dedicate, which I couldn't 10 years ago. So
Right.
it all happens for a reason. And there's an audience at every single age, right?
Yes.
Because if I'm
Yes.
still doing this when I'm 80, there might be some people who are still 80 years old and they're online shopping. And you know,
Right.
you want, and I'm sure I mean, I look at my demographics. I think the most popular group of in my demographics is actually 10 years younger, like 35 to 45
Okay.
for me. Or they're all kind of neck and neck, those 3 decades. But But anyways, yeah, I feel like there's something for everybody at every age. And in a sense, when you're a little bit older, you not less competition, but it's
Yes.
you know, you're a little bit more niche. Like, I don't know if
Yes.
lavender hanger, Karen with lavender hanger,
Yes. Yes.
she's 10 years older than me, maybe even 11 or 12, and she probably has a different demographic too. So it's kind of
Right.
interesting. Like, you can only limit yourself, really.
Yeah, well, like my demographic, like you, is 10 years, pretty much 10 years younger. It starts, so it starts at your age. And then I do get, I do still get younger people buying stuff, but I also get older people because I have that, like you said, Chico's. I love their Zenergy line to sell because first of all, it's really cute for someone my age, and they have really bright colors and it's nice. So I always get those. And Zenergy from Chico sells very well for me, where I will hear some of the people who I love and watch all the time say that it never sells for them. And that's one of the things I always say, like when people ask me questions, even my friend, is I watched every video in the beginning. I was listening to what people said sold and what
Mhm.
people said didn't, because I thought every closet was the same.
Right.
So what I did learn was every closet's not the same, because people will tell me they sell things and I'm like, what? I've had it in my closet for, since I started.
Right.
And then I'll sell things like Zenergy and people like, what? We wouldn't even pick that up.
It's true. And I think when you have people on YouTube who are saying this brand is great, and they get 5,000 views on that video, and
Yeah.
goes out and buys that brand, and then
And that's it.
it's
Yeah.
probably why some people hate people like me who share brands on YouTube. So I appreciate that. I don't always like to say where I source for that same
Right.
reason, but I can appreciate the people who are just out there hustling and they have nothing to do with YouTube, and it kind of irks them. But I also think that that's how things get saturated. I mean, to me, it's no coincidence
It
that
is.
Jenna's favorite brand was Anthropology and Free People, and that's completely flooded.
Yeah.
I still love it. I mean, not just Jenna and a bunch of other
Right.
influencers, but you know what I mean? And so sometimes if people say, don't pick this up, and that's the word on the street in the reselling
Then
community,
pick it up.
and that opens up. And I think
True.
a lot comes down to what you enjoy picking up.
Yes. Yes.
We
Well,
say
but
that all
in the
the time.
beginning, I didn't realize that. So I literally, my husband and I, it was so funny. I said to him, you got to come with me. I said, a consignment store is having a dollar sale. Now, in a consignment store,
Because it's
and
already been sorted and picked for you.
I got about, I think it was 122 pieces that day, but it was my beginning.
Oh,
And I didn't even know what to really get. They had about 500 pieces, I swear to God. The woman said, I got to call the owner because I don't know if you can buy this many things. I guess no one ever had. I said, what do you mean I'm paying for it? So they did sell it to me.
the owner
But
was probably like, sell it all.
sell it. What are you, crazy? And so my husband and I walk out of the store because it was all the brands I heard, but I was watching people from 3 years ago. I didn't know, but it didn't matter. I still have some of it, but that's how I really started. And I picked out things that I loved and things that people said were in. And you know what? Most of the things that I loved sold first. It's so weird. And even with my clothes, all of the shoes that I loved sold first. It
I mean,
was
usually if you love something, you're not the only person. Like, if there's a reason it speaks to you, and you can't always go by that because,
no, no.
but at least if it's not selling, you're not going to be sharing it in your closet like, oh, I hate this piece.
Right.
Why did I
Right.
ever pick that up?
Right.
At least you're like, this is so cute. I believe in you. Someone's going to buy you.
Yeah. Hey, I believe in that. Put it out there, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Put
And I
out the
also think
positive.
for $120 or however much you spent, think of the experience you gained.
Oh,
I
yes.
say that too. Like if you're sourcing at the bins and you spend $50, you get 50 items and 30 of them were a bad buy,
Yeah.
donate them and think of how
Right.
much you learned. Maybe
Yes.
next time you won't get 50 items, maybe
Right.
that brand didn't work, or maybe that fabric stunk, like it just, I just feel like you cannot beat like the cost to to education.
Yeah.
And I think once you dig in and start learning what you like and what works for you, like that's the best way to gain experience.
Yeah, that's what I feel too, but you don't realize that in the beginning. So that's good for newcomers to hear,
Yeah.
because I didn't think of any of it. I just felt like I was selling on Craigslist or something. And if I didn't watch all the videos, I would have done everything wrong because you just don't know what to do.
I
I
mean,
would have,
videos do definitely help. They do. But then it's like, I think I always worry when people say, "Oh, I have my notebook out." Like if I have a video going and people tell me they're watching with a notebook, I'm like, "Oh my
oh
gosh.
no, I'm doing 20 things.
I hope I don't screw up." You know, like when I'm saying something, when people take what you're saying so literally,
It's
or
true.
like if so and so said this worked, I'm going to buy this. And then that's when I feel bad when people are too invested in the
Right.
videos.
Right.
Because right now I'm going through an experience where I signed up to sell on Amazon.
Right.
And I feel like a new reseller all over again. And I'm in these groups, which have been helpful.
On
And
Clubhouse, are you on? Is that where?
no, I've tuned into a couple of Clubhouse
Okay.
things, but they're kind of like you pay by the month groups, like $50
Oh, okay.
that shares brands that work and whatnot. And they're so helpful. But because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing on Amazon, I feel so overwhelmed. And all these brands are getting thrown at me and where to buy them and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I started doing the same thing, like taking notes, like I should get this, even though it's electronics. This should sell well, even though it's.
Oh, yeah.
And then I took a step back and I'm like, I don't like that.
I don't enjoy it.
I don't like this. So I reached out to somebody else who started by selling clothes on Amazon.
Okay.
Like, this is my comfort zone. Maybe I should get to know Amazon.
Yep, right.
Selling clothes. And once I know the platform better, because it's so complex, then maybe I can branch out to these other things. And when I went in, and it's already cost me, it's $40 a month to sell on the platform.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then it's a cost for some of these groups. So I'm already in the red because I kind of jumped in and thought I could do everything. And I should know better. I should know better. Like I'm a clothing reseller and maybe I should start there. And so I'm appreciating people who are starting out and reselling all over again because it's been such a beast for me. I'm just like, how do you gotcha for this? I don't know.
Well, it's funny because that's how I feel. I remember when you got your website, I think you use Shopify. Is that what you used? Well, in the store, we got Square. And when I got my first order, and it was so weird because I never sold in this business, in reselling, I never sold from my website or anything else. And I like the wholesale. I made nothing because I had to pick all my own not selling, shipping, and it was somebody from Hawaii.
Of course.
The first person, the boots. So, and my husband comes back and goes, "Marion, you're not going to like this with the shipping cost." So that's how I feel now with that. And I also started on Mercari, and there you have to pick shipping and things. So I'm getting my feet wet in that. And then I'm going to try eBay, but I'm learning about shipping with that also. But I don't like selling a lot of the stuff that sells on eBay. Oh, did somebody just join? Let's see. I did. Oh, Amber. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Amber. How are you?
So now I forgot where I was. Look, 57. No.
It happens. It happens.
Oh,
so I think you were talking about dipping your feet into eBay and how that.
Yes. So with that, I really don't know how it works at all. And I don't like selling electronics and things like that. And people tell you like what sells. So with me, it's the dilemma of, am I going to keep doing what I love, or am I going to start selling other things for money? And the selling other things for money doesn't get me yet. I'd rather just do what I love.
Mm-hmm. I did an interview with someone and I said how I wasn't really motivated by money. And she was like, what? And I'm like, and then I felt a little stupid that I had said that, but it's not motivated by money. I mean, of course, like, but it's more, I'm motivated by the growth, but not
Yeah.
in the sense of, oh, I made this much more money.
Right,
Money
right,
is a way to measure that, like as the year goes on. And, you know, if I start, you know, when sponsors kind of came into the picture for me,
right.
how that changed a little bit. But really, like I do this because I love this. And I feel like that is something I'm so lucky to say. And I will never
Yes.
in my life take that for granted, that I was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, because I had a mom who always had to work. And my mom and dad, they've been married for 50 years. She wasn't a single mom, but she had to work. There
Right,
was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I didn't have to, and I still don't have to. And
right,
I tread lightly when I say that, because I don't want it to come off as like, you know, everybody needs money. We all need money.
right.
I do this because I saw my life revolve around my children for 20 years. And I came to a point where I was like, I have to look at the back nine, as my husband's Uncle Francis says. He's like, I'm
Okay.
the back nine, kids, like the back nine of the golf course.
Yeah.
So when I think of the next phase of my life, my husband is busy with work. I'm like, am I just gonna just sit at home and play words with friends and
Right.
spend money? And I found that I was spending more money on stuff that I didn't need. And like, this has just given me a whole new purpose in my life. And so that has a lot of value to me, even more than the dollar signs, you know, for
That
real. So it sounds like you can relate to that.
Yes, I totally can relate to that, because I finally found something in life that I really enjoy. I'm just not working for the paycheck. And I really love thrifting. I love getting the bargain. I love being able to get things and other people can buy it cheaper. And I love just sharing so that people can learn the way I did. They could pick and choose what they take from it, because I always say I'm not an expert, and it may not be right for you. So oh. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
It's my passion.
yeah. And I feel, and I think you hear them now, right? You hear them
Yeah,
bark.
but that's all right.
The little one has the real piercing bark. Lulu, he's the fresh one. Yeah, I feel lucky that I'm so passionate about it. And I think as like I've branched out to like the podcast and other things, like I have to be very careful about where I go, because everything else
Right.
is taking so much time. And I hired a high school student who works for me 9 hours a week. And it's
Okay.
been such a burden lifted as I'm going through my inventory and stuff. But like this morning I woke up and I'm like, I just kind of miss going into my studio. That was my routine before COVID. The kids would go to school at like 7,
Okay.
come downstairs with my coffee, and I would just take pictures for like 2 hours, do a few listings, then I'd go sourcing, shoot a video or whatever. But that was how I started my day. And I've really gotten away from that and I've missed it. So this morning I'm like, I just want to make a point to go back to basics and kind of do what makes
You
me
love.
tick. Yeah. And this is kind of like, not that everybody, like with the photographs and the delinting and the inventory, like not that it was just part of my ritual and what I
Right.
did in building my business. So I need to make sure I can go back to that when it kind of grounds me. I like doing it and just kind of getting back into the rhythm. I love taking photographs and stuff. So you do feel lucky to be doing something that you love so much.
Definitely. And people are always saying, my friends are like, you're so lucky. I'm like, no, I created this. I keep I created this because I'm this, you can create pretty much whatever you want in life. What you put out there, you're going to get back. And I just miss it when I can't go thrifting. And I wasn't able to for about 3 months besides COVID. I did my retail arbitrage online and bought from a lot of Poshmark people, but I couldn't go thrifting because I had too much stuff. And I have a money pile. I won't call it a death pile. I have a money pile. I have like 5 or 6 big plastics, and other things that I still have. So I was like, okay, you need to take a break or just spend like $12 if you go in a thrift store, because it's still, I think the one thing I had a problem with was knowing that it's still something new will be there every week.
Right. I know. And you don't want to miss out. I think what I've tried to do now when I go out is just limit the quantity of
Yes.
what I plan to take home, because what I found, like when I do Thriftless February and I don't thrift at
Oh,
all
yeah.
month, I lose my spark a little by the end
Yes.
of the month. And so I do think that as much as you can say, I could lock myself in my basement for, I'm not joking, Marion, probably with the stuff that I have like in my basement, like the back that I could put on eBay, all my American Girl stuff that is worth
Oh,
thousands. I could not leave my basement for a year and have work to do.
I
But
get it.
I find that if I don't go out and source, like I lose, like that's my spark.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
even if I just walk around, don't buy anything, like, or just one or two things and come home that I'm super like, those items you can't wait to steam and
Yes.
that will,
Yes.
those are the ones that I just want to like run home and get to. And I need those for myself to keep on ticking. Like I really struggle listing things that don't motivate me, which is why my assistant has worked out really good because she could care less like what she's photographing.
Okay.
So like if I'm kind of uninspired, like, I want to say like men's Under Armour nylon pants or something like that. That will
Right.
sell. They're fine. I
Yeah.
probably pick them up at the bins because I knew they would make $15, $20. I'm just not
Right.
motivated to list a pair of navy blue nylon pants. So like those are the things that Caitlin will do for me. And that's been really nice.
Yeah. And sometimes those are the things that really sell. Last year, I was so lucky, not lucky, really blessed that one of my husband's friends for years said, "Do you want some of my kids' clothes to sell online? Because I was going to give them to Goodwill, but I'd rather give them to you if you can use them." And I said, "Yeah." And I went and she had two of those gigantic I can't even tell you how many clothes were folded up in there. And
What a
granted,
dream.
oh, and in the beginning, I was like, all right, these aren't fun to take pictures of. But after I started taking like three together or whatever, they're still selling. And I know I'd rather have someone else take pictures of things like that. In the future, I will.
Yes.
So
But I mean, it's
definitely.
part of the growth. It's what you do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not above doing anything in my business. Like
Oh, me neither.
you
Yeah.
got to do it all. But in the other nice thing about those is I find that when something's given to me, let me know if you felt the same way. Like you're not going to nickel and dime an offer. Like you're like, all right, well, this was free.
Yeah.
So go,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's kind of nice. And then I find that it kind of sparks my closet for other things to sell when I'm more generous with offers on things that I didn't pay for.
Yes, I do the same thing. It's so true. So, yeah, definitely. And I'm blessed that so many people, even with the store, like I was really shocked because I just opened in November and I've had people come here and say, "Hey, um, are you a consignment shop?" And I said, "I'm not." I said, so they're like, "Well, do you take donations?" And one woman went out to her car and got me two pairs of Aldo shoes that were brand new. She's like, "Here," and you really learn the generosity, but things like that, you can make them a little less. I almost feel bad making them too much less because they gave them to me. But
Right.
like when I get like a ton of things from family and people, I definitely make them less or do a sale like two for something. And that does bring more people into your closet for sure.
Do you get a lot of foot traffic with your store? Like, are you in a location that gets a lot of people walking by?
Okay, no.
Okay.
So here's the thing, where my store is, it's funny because I remember, and this is funny, very funny, because I always manifest what I want, what I desire. Not always, but I do my best to put out there what I want. And I always used to say, because they say sometimes if you don't want something enough, you'll get it too. Like you're putting out there, "I don't want it. I don't want it." The universe hears, "I want it." And where I am is the perfect location. However, I always used to say, "Why would anyone paint that thing mustard? And who would want that store?" And I'd be like, "It's in a horrible
Is
location.
that
I
where you
swear."
are?
Yeah, yeah. I'd be like, "It's in a horrible location. There's no foot traffic. Here I am." But
I love that.
but I am right off of the rail trail it is and walkway over the Hudson. People come here to go to that, right? So we decided we're going to give it a shot. It's nobody else made it here. We're going to give it a shot and we'll give it a year. What have you got to lose, right? Because we had
online business. So like,
right. That's why.
Relying on,
yes.
Yeah.
No, if we were just relying on this, we couldn't do it. So we figured out how much I was making online and if I'd be able to cover the rent and other things still. And because we did get a great deal on the rent for the first year, I was able to. So we are going to get advertisement on the map for the walkway over the Hudson. We're like, you know what? If we do nothing else all year, yeah. Because you're not allowed.
I've done that walk. I love it.
Oh, you have?
Yes,
if you ever come here again, let me know.
I know. The last time we were in New York, it's been on my husband's list. Well, he's done it a couple times, but the last time I went with him, and it was great. And of course, we tried to figure out where the closest Goodwill was in the walk, and then that was like the next stop after the walk. But it was so nice.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so we're going to advertise. So I am hoping and praying and putting out there that we are going to have good foot traffic. And we're also going to have a lot of things outside. So that's going to be the good thing. Because my husband is going to be here on weekends with me. So he could at least be outside and I'll be inside.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I hope you have great success there. I would love a store someday. I say I would love it, but then I think of hours and I think of employees and I think of not being able to leave when I want to leave.
Yeah. Well, if this didn't come up, I never would have thought of a store ever. And my husband, like I was telling you, wanted to get my stuff out of the house. That's how this started.
Yeah.
But it's still in there. Oh, where did I go?
I don't know. I lost you. Oh, it's just me. Oh no, it says you're the show. All right, Marion. I'm not sure what happened.
You are the show, baby.
That's what Streamline just said to me.
I don't know what happened. So, all right. So let me see. What else did I wanted to ask you the pros and cons of being on different platforms. Are there pros and cons to being on more?
I think that's a great question. And I feel like it's a topic that has been beaten this year. Everyone. And I feel like I'm one of the ringleaders talking about cross-posting because I've worked with Vendu and it's really helped my business. But I'm feeling like currently my own personal situation, I feel like Amazon is the straw that broke the camel's back. I feel like in 2021, coming out of 2020, where I had all this time to dedicate because I was home, it was the birth of Clubhouse and cross-posting for me and first time trying Mercari, Amazon, really amping up my eBay game. And now I wake up and I'm just like, oh my God, it's
so much to do.
Too much. It's too much. It's all everybody's talking about. And I believe in it, but what I worry about is being a jack of all trades and a master of none sort of thing, where I'm everywhere, but the little details that I pride myself on are kind of getting lost because so I'm really grateful that, like I just did a What Sold video just for last week and I had a couple really big sales on Poshmark that were not typical.
Okay.
But the week was 1850 was the week.
Okay.
And 1330 of that was Poshmark. So it's still my main thing. I had like 2 sales on eBay and miraculously I had a good sale on Mercari.
Okay.
So when I look at stuff, my husband says all the time, like all this stuff you do, the podcast, YouTube, I mean, YouTube's starting to generate more income for me.
That's good.
All the little things you do, he's like, they all pale in comparison to what you make on Poshmark.
Yeah.
And so I feel like sometimes people think you can't be successful if you're just on Poshmark. And I disagree because I feel like I feel like you're successful at whatever you give love and attention to.
Right.
For the most part, know what I mean? So if you're sharing your closet and you're adding good items and you're priced right and your pictures are good and all the things that make you successful. Right. There are pros and cons. So, I mean, the obvious pro is more eyes are on your items. Mm-hmm. eBay has a monumentally a bigger audience than Poshmark. eBay is also a global platform, as is Amazon. So you can sell overseas.
To everyone,
to everyone. And the global shipping program, for people watching who are unfamiliar with it, it's a box. I was afraid of it for like 6 months, and then I realized
Okay.
how easy it was on eBay. You just click a box and you're sending all of your items. Your shipping doesn't change on your end. You send your stuff.
Oh,
I think the warehouse is in Kentucky and then, or Kansas, and eBay does
yeah.
all of the stuff with customs, and they do the
Oh,
second part of the shipping. So for your buyer, they're paying big money to go through global shipping. It's much more because it has it's like having a layover, a layover
okay.
at their global shipping warehouse. But you as the seller, it's as if you sold to somebody down your street. So,
Oh,
so you
gotcha.
don't deal with customs or anything like that, but you just open it up to the world. And then sometimes you'll get a request from somebody overseas and they'll say, can we bypass global shipping and you ship it to me directly because it's cheaper for them?
Right.
Don't do it. I
No.
have shipped to Canada through my website and
Okay.
through direct sales, like just
Okay.
PayPal, because I use pirate shipping, which is a
Oh,
super
yeah.
easy
I
platform.
heard about that. Yeah.
Marion, just get an account today. You won't
Okay.
believe how easy it is. And that's what I use for my Shopify account. And I bet you could link it through Squarespace as well, where it
Oh, yeah.
links to pirate shipping. So you can
Oh, okay.
so on Shopify, you can download different apps to your website. So like I
Okay.
downloaded Pirate Ship to my website and now it's linked with my Shopify store. So anytime I sell something on my website, I ship it through pirate shipping.
Okay.
And it links, like it sends the information right over. And I believe
That's
you can
great.
link eBay to pirate shipping too, because you have options for shipping with eBay and Mercari. So
Okay.
anyway, what was I saying? Oh,
Oh, pros and cons.
so you reach that huge audience. You reach that huge
Right.
audience. That's a pro. And I think the con is learning new platforms. It's the cost of some of these cross-posting services. If you're using them, you want to make it worth your while if you're going to
Right.
pay for it. It's the time to cross list, because even though it's easy, it's still an extra step or two, cross listing. And then it's managing when it sells on one platform. One of my big things for Vendu that's new to me, it's probably just a month old to me. They launched
Okay.
a delist relist feature,
Oh,
and
yes. I
they
saw
launched
that.
an inventory feature. So now that's why I started drafting everything on Vendu, because that's my main thing. And then you blast it out. So like if I do a Mercari listing, you can't have more than 40 characters in your title. So I have to
Right.
enhance my title. When I cross post to eBay, I will always add like women's or men's to the beginning, and I'll write the word out size. And sometimes I might write the condition, because you have like 85 characters for eBay, Poshmark
Right.
50. So I make those small adjustments, but my main listing is in Vendu.
Okay.
You blast it out to all the different places. So like this morning I sold a pair of Madewell shorts for $35. I bet I had it listed at 45. You go in
Okay.
to Vendu and you click sold through Poshmark. There's like a little
Oh,
menu on the right, and it shows you the platform
okay.
you're listing on. Click Poshmark, and then it says, what did it sell for? So I write right in what it sold for. You have to do that manually. And
Okay.
then what my cost of goods was. And then you press sold, and simultaneously as it's marking that item as sold in its inventory, it's going over to eBay and Mercari and delisting it at the
Yeah,
same.
that's great. That is really good.
That may come in even handy for those of us who are over 45.
I know.
You know what I mean? So that I have so relied on that feature alone. Even if I couldn't cross post on the whole platform, that feature alone to me,
Okay.
I don't know if I could cross post as much as I do if I didn't have that, to try to keep track of if it sells over here, you got to go on here and delist.
I get it because
Fun.
sorry. because on Vendu I started using it like a month ago or 2 months ago, because I know I'm on my second set of numbers that I can use, my amount. And I don't list on there first, and I know I should. I'm so used to Poshmark that I always just go to Poshmark, but I know if I go there first, it'll be better, because that's what it will do, because I have to literally think, okay, what platforms is that on? Now I can actually see, at least when you go into Vendu, you could see where it's listed. I'll see my little Poshmark
icon.
and
Yeah,
Mercari.
that's super helpful. No, Marion, I did it the same way. And it wasn't until the relist delist feature and that they rolled out.
Okay.
I've been using Vendu since October of 2019.
Oh,
That
wow.
was my
Okay.
first Vendu video when I found them. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great, like, that was like before all the cross posting stuff blew up.
Okay.
And so I've been doing it the same way. Even when I had all the features and started working with them and they gave me some of these features to try, I still wasn't doing it. I was slow. And it was an extra step, because then what would happen is if you do your draft in Vendu, but then you only post it to Poshmark, you're basically doing almost 2 listings.
Oh, I mean, that's true.
You know what I mean? So if you're
Yes.
creating your drafts, you might as well be putting it out to a couple different platforms. But
Right.
And one of the things I am waiting for, because I've really slacked on my website, you mentioned website. They're a lot to keep up, aren't they?
They are. Yes. Yes.
But I think List Perfectly already does it, and that is to cross post to Shopify. But I know that the guys are working on it for Vendu. So I think once that starts, I will probably eliminate direct sales from YouTube videos, like in a traditional sense where people email me and then PayPal and go back and forth, and just send everybody to Shopify. Because even if it's not currently listed, if somebody messages me and says, can I do this? I can cross post it to Shopify, maybe charge less because they're from YouTube, and go that route. You know what I mean? So
yes,
the potential is incredible. But it's like anything, you have to learn it.
Yes.
It takes time. So I do think those are pros and cons. And I also feel like one of the biggest pros is it's tough to have all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. And there are days where Poshmark seems like they are sound asleep on me, and eBay's hopping, and other days. So it's just a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And if you have enough listings and you're listing frequently enough and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing on the platforms, like hopefully one of them is performing for you on any given day.
Yeah, it's true. And my advice to anyone would be, you said it in the beginning, I wouldn't start that way, because it's hard enough to learn everything on one. And for me, Poshmark was an easy one. Mm-hmm. It's really, to me, easier than all the other ones. When I started doing Mercari, I did see that was easy too, but it's the shipping then you have to learn. But yeah, start on one platform.
Yeah. My quick advice on starting on eBay or Mercari, for that matter, because I think the culture of Mercari is the expectation that shipping is typically free. Mm-hmm. So I do have my default set to free shipping, and but they take less fees. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. I would say with eBay and with Mercari, I would do just lightweight stuff like bras and socks, and scarves and t-shirts. You know, I feel terrible selling a t-shirt and knowing somebody has to pay $7 for shipping on Poshmark. So those are the things when I first started on eBay. I still don't love listing shoes on eBay, and they sell pretty well, but you can't beat $7 shipping on Poshmark.
Right.
Boots.
It's true. Boots. So
unless it's a really high value item for shoes, I have so many things that I still need to cross post over there. I find that I started by only doing lightweight stuff because I could set my default shipping to first class. So make sure things were under £1, and then you can charge $5 shipping, $4 shipping, or whatever you want, because I do charge for shipping. And I think that makes it a little more like just baby steps. Right.
Definitely a little easier for sure, because I always learn the hard way, like with those boots. Now I won't, I raised the price already on there, but I really have to figure out what the price is, because I don't know. And on Square, I can weigh it all and everything, but everything's going to be different. So that's the part that's hard for me, because I can't be bothered with all that.
Right. I know with eBay, and this is something that I think I was giving out misinformation on for a while, and I apologize, but I thought like with calculated shipping, I had to figure it out. But eBay kind of does the calculation for you.
Okay.
And, as long as you weigh your item, you can do calculated shipping for the buyer, and just based on like their settings, like whatever your zip code is, they will do the calculated shipping for you in that moment, as long as the seller has weighed and measured the item out, which I don't do. I like guesstimate, so I don't do calculated shipping. Right. And so in some cases, I'll end up spending an extra dollar or two to ship something. And then in a lot of cases, I make a dollar or two, depending
Right.
on where I price things out. So I feel like it does pretty much level out with eBay.
Okay.
But that's another thing, if people are intimidated to set the shipping, is to just always choose calculated and weigh
Okay.
your item. And you can get a scale on Amazon for like $20.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, definitely good advice. So my last question to you is, how do you juggle it all, especially now? Like you were telling me when you came on, and here you are. You're giving me an hour of your time. I thank you so much.
Oh,
And
God, having me.
so, how do you juggle it? And how did you juggle it with 3 kids? You weren't doing it when they were younger. Well, you were for a little while.
I was for a little while, but it was nothing like what I'm doing now. We had a Salvation Army in the next town that I miss. Oh my God, what I would give
Oh,
to have that still here. It was a little hole in the wall Salvation Army, and they would have Family Day on
they're the
Wednesdays that
best.
was half price. So that was when I would go in and do my thing. And it was really an escape for me. Like when my kids were all school age, so they weren't like babies at that point.
Okay.
So it was still pretty easy for me to hop out while they were in school. So as far as juggling, I am not your poster child for work-life balance or being organized. Like I am not an organized person by nature. I am super free flowing, which I think really works to my advantage in a lot of cases because I don't get I I'm a little impulsive. Sometimes I take things on and I jump before I look. And sometimes it really works out for me. Like in the case of YouTube, I was like, what the hell? Like I shot it vertically. I did it wrong. I was in my pajamas when I shot my first video. I didn't worry so much. Like I talk to young people now who are new creators on YouTube, and they're
Oh,
looking at statistics and when they're going to get monetized and how they're going to share. And I'm like, girl,
yeah, just let it all go and it'll come.
video.
Yeah,
Because really at the end of the day, like I just feel like people are going to come back for you, and they're going to come back
right.
for your content or what you have to share. I mean, yes, and I think you can drive yourself crazy
You
looking at analytics. You can
see, I
drive
don't.
yourself nuts. I was oblivious. I was like, it was just like ignorance is bliss because I had no idea. I'd never even thought about being monetized for probably the first 4 or 5 months. Like, didn't
And
even,
that's what makes you who you are, though. And that's the thing. Like, because you didn't, so you were just and most people are, and they're giving good information, but they're worried about that other stuff. So I think it makes everything more pressured and harder.
yeah. And then like the soliciting for people to follow and stuff like that. It's just never been my thing.
Right,
So maybe I could have more followers if I did more of that, maybe less. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like
right.
you can have people subscribe to you and then they never watch. So like I just kind of like the organic growth, however slow or fast it happens. And so I'm not great at juggling. I think what's made me okay with it is that I have time, that
Okay.
because I don't have the pressure of like, oh my gosh, if I don't list 30 items and sell this many things, we're not going to make the mortgage payment this month.
Right.
I don't have that added pressure. Um, and it has been a process for me. I'm not the best at saying no. I'm trying to get better, but
Okay.
I think what is important. Okay, let me just like gather my thoughts. I know you gave me these questions up front, and I'm just
No,
trying.
that's okay. Take your
But
time.
I think making sure that you prioritize what is going to feed you whatever way you want to be fed. So if you need money, then maybe your prioritization needs to be, doesn't matter if it's pretty or not, you pull the stuff out of your closet and you get listing, and you just start listing things. Don't worry about all the special lights and things like that.
Right.
Just get into it. So prioritize what works for you. So for me, I did always make listing a priority in order to grow my business. So
Right.
I remember at first it was like I want to do 25 listings a week. And some days now I want to do 20 listings in a day. But
Right.
whatever it is for you, trying to prioritize what's important, I think has helped me. And for me, I think kind of being open to try new things, to meet new people, and try new platforms and stuff like that. I don't know. That's still not answering juggling. That's still not answering the question.
Well, okay, so let me rephrase it. Do you feel like you have to juggle? Does your work life interfere with your personal life? Is it all one big, like for me, I make it all one big thing and I'm fine with that. But so does it interfere ever?
It does. It does.
Okay.
And I think for me, it was even more drastic for my children because I was the stay-at-home mom that like drove everybody
Oh,
and did all that stuff, dance, basketball, baseball, track and field. Like my kids were pretty active. And I did all of that. And then all of a sudden I found this thing that I loved. And
oh yeah.
and my daughter, especially when she's home from college, she's like, Mom, you need work hours. I'm like, yeah, but people shop on Poshmark all night. She's like, oh,
Okay. Yeah.
like that sort of thing. And so I've tried, or the joke in my family is I'll say, who wants to sit on the couch and watch a movie? And then everybody comes and I open my laptop and start sharing. And you're like, Mom, you're completely unengaged right now, I'm like, no, this is my favorite thing because I have my family around me, but I can still work without working. But
you said it just like, thank you. I have to let my husband hear this one part because I'm there, but I love what I'm doing. So it's not like it's work to me, and I'm still paying attention because I could like watch this right now and still be doing my Poshmark at the same time.
yes.
Right.
So what has like I think the first week Clubhouse opened, I had like Clubhouse Hangout. I'm totally not over Clubhouse, because there was a woman, you might want to follow her because she's a business owner. She owns a store last night, and it's Covet Boston is the name of her business. It's a consignment store, and she's in South Boston. She's in Southie, and now she's opening a store on Nantucket Island. She's like she's in Beacon Hill. She's got 3 locations.
Wow.
She started when she was like 26, 27 years old. And she's fascinating. She does mostly luxury stuff. But it's really interesting to listen to her talk about her journey with a brick and mortar and how she works it, and when COVID hit and what she did and all of her Instagram sales. You would be fascinated.
Oh, yes.
So there are certain people who go on Clubhouse that I make time for, but in general, I was wasting a lot of time. Just the first week, maybe 2. So that's totally leveled out. But I do feel like now that there's Clubhouse or podcast or like you, like I'll walk around and just listen to YouTube while I'm working.
Me too.
On my phone. And I've caught myself walking up to bed, like listening to something. And I'm like, seriously, now like you're coming to bed with it, whatever. So it is tough to juggle. I think that having an assistant has really helped me to scale my business a little bit without adding so much more to my plate. And that's why I started cross-posting, to kind of circle back to that a little bit, is I felt like cross-posting the 1,300 items that I already have listed in Poshmark was a way to scale my business without buying more, needing more storage, adding more clutter to my space. Like I felt like cross-posting was a way that I could scale my business without scaling my business in other ways, like as far as volume goes, because I don't need any more volume. I never dream of having a warehouse or things like that. I like the personal touch. I like the packaging. I like all the pretty things that go with this. Some people don't. Like you have to play to your strengths, and that's what I like. So my assistant has definitely helped me juggle a little bit more. I think you asked me at a weird time because I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's my honest answer.
I'll ask you again in about 3 months.
One thing.
3 months.
Getting a schedule for YouTube. For a while, I was really strict about Wednesday, Sunday releases, and that really helped me budget my time. Like, oh my gosh, if this is going live tomorrow, then it got to be stressful because if I missed a day, I would feel so guilty. And now I just say 2 videos a week. And you know what? If I only get 1 video out a week, that's okay too. Like I've kind of learned to let go of the expectations that I put on myself all the time. And that kind of gives me a little bit of breathing room to just be like, the world is not going to end, Lori, if you post this haul on a Thursday instead of a Friday. And I've kind of embraced that. So that's helped me.
Well, that's great. Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful chat. I really enjoy your videos. People, you got to check her out. Give them some of your information. And I also want you to share about your merch because I love your saying
Oh, I
there.
know.
So,
I'm wearing it today.
oh,
So I am Lori from Lori's Boston Found is my Instagram handle, and I think I'm just Lori Tata on YouTube. But if you do Lori's Boston Found, you'll find me there as well. And on Poshmark, I am Lori Boston Found because I was one character too long for Poshmark's liking. Yes, and my merch. So my little tagline is "Thrifted is the new black," because I truly believe that. I really feel like there was a time when high end and luxury and buy new and was the thing, and now I just feel like it's so, I feel like thrifting is the new black. It's here to stay. I feel like the
yeah.
retail industry has boomed and it's my little thing. So I finally this year, that was one of my projects for Thriftless February, one of the things I've been wanting to do, but didn't have the time to do. So I just have hoodies and t-shirts, face masks, mugs, and I think a little tote bag. They're through.
Oh, yeah.
So if you ever go to my YouTube channel and watch a video, there's a little bar that comes up automatically now. Teespring is linked with YouTube, which is really cool. So I designed them in Canva and I moved them over to Teespring. It's just a very simple little thing. And I live in my hoodies now. I have it in gray and of course black, So that's my merch. I launched it about a month ago. It's doing pretty well. I'm like
Oh, good.
shocked.
Why? It's such a cool saying.
It's kind of fun. And I think it's kind of low key. I didn't want it to be too in your
It is. No, it's great.
And I didn't want to put Lori's Boston Found on anything because nobody wants that. But like the expression is kind of fun. So anyways, yeah, that's my merch. And somebody just messaged me recently and requested a long sleeve shirt. So I'm going to go back in and I wanted to test the waters and see what worked. And I have muted tones because I don't do a lot of bright colors. So I tried to make it more reflective of my boring self. I have a lot of neutral colors, but I do have a couple colors, navy blue and maroon. I think those are my colors.
Oh, yes.
But anyways, yeah, so that's been fun. And yeah, thank you everybody so much. Thank you for having me on your show, Marion. This has been so much fun to get to know you. And
you too. We're going to be friends, girl.
Yes, I really appreciate you having me. So,
well, thank you for joining. And I will speak to you again in the future for sure. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.